Today is a rather historic moment for Crystal Palace. This is the club's third ever FA Cup final. The previous two, they've not won. The previous two, they've lost to Manchester United. Yeah, this is a rivalry that far exceeds my time at the club. I'm going to hope that I'm the manager to break the curse. I won't be dancing like Alan Pardew today. Let's get into things. Now, I realise if you're not a super hardcore football fan, but you like Football Manager, you won't know about the Alan Pardew dance. Back in 2016, 2015, Crystal Palace took the lead against Manchester United in the FA Cup final, and their manager did a dance on the sideline. I won't be repeating his antics, just to get that out there right here and now. You can see that final was the 2015-16 FA Cup final. You have to go a little further back to 1990 to see the previous time that Crystal Palace finished runners-up against Manchester United. I feel like this year Manchester United have just been our big rivals. You can see this is how the Premier League table has finished, but there's a lot of question marks, and the reason there's question marks is because Newcastle United are in the Champions League final against Barcelona, Manchester United are in the Europa League final against Lyon, and in the Conference League, Leeds United are in the final against Marseille. Now, there are restrictions on how many teams in England can represent, I believe, the nation in European football. All the kind of spots are going to get jiggled around. At this moment in time, Chelsea in fourth are not guaranteed a Champions League spot because you can only have 5 teams in the Champions League. And if Newcastle and Manchester United win their finals, they would get the 2 spots and the team in fourth actually drop down. I'll level with you. I have no idea how this interacts with us. We're just here to win a cup final and hope that 6th is good enough for European football of some kind. That's the plan. That's the dream. Let's get to this cup final, shall we? I suppose before we get to the cup final, just to cover the 3 games to end the year, we drew against Burnley 0-0. In this game, Jones played. Jones got an injury. I was planning on playing Jones to end the season on the last day. I thought that'd be a fun little nod to a hero of Park to Prem. However, he got an injury, so I had to give him injections to give him an appearance, and it wasn't exactly a classic. He got a 6.9, but he has now got a 1 game played in the Premier League column. So we now have a player who's gone all the way from the bottom, all the way from our first club, Three Bridges, to play in the Premier League. So he has done the Park to Prem journey like I have as the manager. So well done, Jones. I think you'll go down as kind of a Park to Prem hero in Park to Prem folklore, or something like that. Anyway, the other 2 games, we beat Norwich 4-0, convincing performance. Last game of the season, we were playing Wolves, rotated the entire team because this game was only 3 days before the final. We ended up drawing 0-0. At that point, we'd already guaranteed ourselves 6th place, which, to be honest, I think is a reasonably good season on the whole. We know that the Premier League is incredibly competitive. This year, Liverpool ran away with it, largely down to the fact Erling Haaland almost got 50 goals in the season. I do not think our performance is anything to be ashamed of. Gurujanga ended up finishing relatively highly in the assists, and on the goal-scoring front, De Silva, as you can see here, managed to get 16 goals, Middleby got 12, and it was a fine season. I would have liked to have maybe finished a little bit higher. I would like to have European football of some kind guaranteed right now, but at the same time, we're in a cup final. It's kind of a nice way to end the season on a high. So when it comes to team news for today's final against United, this is the squad I'm going with. It's fairly standard across the board, with 1 or 2 small little exceptions. Exception number 1, Fofana, unfortunately, injured to end the season. Just last episode, I was talking about how important he has been for us. He's out, not available today. As a result, McIntosh moves into the right-back position. He has a relationship with Gurujanga out on the right-hand side, so I think that's going to work for us. And that means that Omobamidele is going to come in and play in the middle. A man who really hasn't played that much football for us this year, but at every single level that we've played at, in every single system, he's always just kind of been solid for us. And I feel like he's earned the ability to play in this game here. In the FA Cup, an 8.05 rating for him. And while the other player who's in the team, perhaps surprisingly, is Severin. So for all of you fans of the Severin fan club, rejoice. Your boy's playing in the final. He has shown a lot of development recently, has really come on leaps and bounds. This FA Cup competition has been his. He has got 6 goals in 5 games. A really, really emphatic display. And it's that goal-scoring display that gives me faith that he's the man to turn up and that Middleby should be demoted to the bench. He's not done anything in his last 5 games. In fact, it's the most boring form graph I've ever seen. 0 goals, 0 assists. It's just flatlining. And I'm not going to play him as a result. Besides that, though, our team is pretty much at full strength. Fofana is going to be a miss, but I look at the likes of De Silva and Gurajaga and hope they can show up. Carlier, of course, got us that all-important goal in the semi-final to beat Liverpool. He has been phenomenal as of late. He has developed a lot during a very short period at the club. Wasn't entirely sure how much more potential he had when we signed him for 52 million. We were very much signing him for the player that he was. But if we look at things here, in the first 3 or 4 months at the club, loads and loads of improvement. I'm really excited to see how much better he can get. Manchester United's key player is Wesley Fofana, top quality centre-back, a player who's been a massive, massive part of their team. I'm somewhat hoping that with all the games that Manchester United have had, they're going to be tired to end the season. They've got a cup final in a week to look forward to. They should rest their players for the FA Cup final. It doesn't really matter. You can see here their form has been very meh, shall we say, as of late. Defeats against Chelsea. They actually lost the second final of the Europa League semi-final 3-0, having won the first leg 3-0, and ended up having to scrape by on penalties. So I feel like they're there for the taking. I don't feel like they're this impenetrable force. Of course, when we played them just 2 episodes ago, Ruiz was their key player. Please, Mario, don't repeat it today. I genuinely, I might go and cry if that happens. But anyway, we are at Wembley. I am ready and raring to go. I'm hoping that we're going to put in a good little performance today. Does look like they've rotated the team maybe a little bit. It's still an incredibly strong team, though. Of course, Karim Adeyemi scored against us last time out. He is a man I am fearful of. But I feel like we have players in our team that they should be fearful of. I feel like De Silva and Gurajaga, if I was playing against them, I'd be sat here telling you how scared I am of the wide players that Crystal Palace have. And I'm hoping that they're the players that are really going to serve us well on the big stage here. Of course, after this game, we are going to have the standard end-of-season roundup. Hopefully, we'll know what our budgets are set. And if I do need to just continue forward a little bit after this game to work out the exact European scenario, I will do that. We will find closure by the end of this video as to exactly what our European fate is, because it's a complete mess. Really, I'm playing this wanting to win the final for the silverware itself, and anything else on top of that, I'll consider a bonus. And well, we're going to hope that we can get a bit of redemption after the EFL Cup final, where, of course, we lost to Manchester United last year. Getting a sense of deja vu, and well, Ulrich, effort from range, just over the bar, but nice to see some attacking intent from us. First shot of the game goes in our favour. We're edging out possession in the early phases here, which is always good to see. Going to get some words of encouragement, get some green, happy, smiley faces going, as we're going to head into another highlight here. Manchester United, a good team. State the obvious more, Jack. Look, they're in the Europa League final. They're in the FA Cup final. Even if they've struggled in the league, they're scary. And Karim Adeyemi terrifies me one-on-one, but Ruiz, he's not on Manchester United side today. That is a nuts save in the one-on-one. And then Kessie goes in from behind. That could be a red card. It should be a red card. I can see the card in the referee's hand. Yusuf Demir is hauled off. Manchester United go down a man in the 20th minute. Kessie has lost his head. The experienced Ivorian has lost his head, and it gets worse because straight away, Andreas Carlier is going to score. The Belgian Prince, signed for £52 million. Yeah, that's right. He's not the Belgian beast. He's the Belgian Prince. That's a callback to a previous episode. We have a Peruvian and a Belgian Prince in our team. I've decided. Look at that. Chest down, opens up the angle, goes to the left, makes it easier to find the bottom corner. Keeper caught in no man's land. And remain calm, everyone. Remain calm. We're a goal up against Manchester United. I ain't doing any dancing, but this, I mean, surely it has to be they've had another man sent off. They've had another, it's the 40th minute and Manchester United are down to 9 men in the final. You know what? For all the times I've ever been FM'd playing Football Manager, I can never complain again. Tagir, our former man, has just been brought on at centre-back as well. We sold him to Manchester United for 38 million. He is rubbish. I mean, if he now scores a few, I'll look like a mug. But surely, this game's just done now. I'd like to get another goal or two to really make our dominance count. They're down 2 men. This has been, I guess, as good a first half as we could hope for. As bad a first half as Manchester United fans could hope for. We have been all over them. And as you can see, they've got no one forward now. They've not got a striker. I believe they're playing without a striker and without a left attacking mid. They're kind of playing a 4-2-3-1, but actually it's a 4-2-2 with no... Look, I don't know if it's what I would do down 2 men, but it's a pretty impossible situation to be in, and it is about to get a whole lot worse. Severin with the assist. Gurajaga, he's been with us since the beginning of this Crystal Palace journey. Loaned in year 1, loaned in year 2. We spent the big bucks to secure his signing, £72 million. I couldn't bear the thought of him playing for Liverpool. I couldn't bear the thought of him winning the league with them this year. He had to be mine. And whilst a goal alone isn't going to make him worth that price tag, to score in an FA Cup final is kind of what you want from your big landmark signing, I feel like. And this is the most bizarre feeling ever because, yes, it is only 2-0. Yes, comebacks happen, but comebacks by 9 men do not happen. This game's done. This is the most jovial I can ever be. I kind of wish that I had Butterworth or Jones or Stephen Gold on the bench, someone who I could just bring on just to rub salt in the wound. Although maybe my players are going to do a job of that on their own. As Carlier, he wants more. He's got 1 goal. That isn't enough for him as centre mid. I don't want any mercy to be shown. I want to try and, well, you can't really make up, I suppose, for the previous 2 defeats that Crystal Palace fans have had to watch at the hands of Manchester United in FA Cup finals. But a win here, it goes a little bit of a way to redeem ourselves. And if we could do it in emphatic fashion, it only makes it better. Tullio, back post header, just over. I mean, it's not very often, is it, that you go into a final, I'd argue, as underdogs and can just enjoy it. You know, I thought I need the stand-up desk and be stood up, so I have to be animated. I have to get angry. Instead, I'm just sat here, hands in pockets, thinking, it's going okay. With 25 minutes left here, we are all over them. I want more. I would love to see Severin get a goal for all the contributions he's made in previous FA Cup rounds. If he could be the man to really, provide the killer blow to Manchester United's hopes and dreams, that would fill me with happiness. As we have a corner that is going to get cleared away. We are all over them here. We are having a lot of chances. There's an argument to suggest I should go more attacking, but we don't really need to do that at 2-0 up. I mean, maybe Henia can score a free kick. Oh my word, that was not far over. I feel like Henia always has free kicks that go just over, but they never actually go in. One day I'll be caught completely off guard by a goal itself. As well, the initial corner is cleared away, but we do still have it. Omobamidele, Severin plays through to Silva. The captain hits the woodwork. Manchester United just about get it away from danger. You know what? 18 minutes left. I've got all my subs left over. De Silva is complacent. Get off the pitch, son. I'm gonna, you know what, Severin, you don't need to play as a false 9 today. Just go and be an advance forward, mate. Go and have good vibes. 40 get forward. McIntosh get forward. We'll go into attacking, folks. I don't care. I want to try and get a goal or 2 more here. If we do now concede one instantly, going to revert all the changes, of course. But I want to try and get a goal or 2 more. Manchester United, I almost feel bad for them. I do almost feel bad for them in a little way. I kind of wanted a little bit of a fight. And there is no fight. It's 3-0. Severin scores. 40 puts the ball on a plate. The man who cannot defend at left back, but has a wand of a left foot. He's shown his ability to provide in the wide areas yet again. And look, who cares if we don't get European football now or if it's Conference League football? We've won the FA Cup against Manchester United 3-0 in the final. That's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets. I'm ready to watch a trophy get hoisted aloft now. This is technically our second trophy. We did win the championship, but it's not the same, is it, as winning a proper trophy, he says in inverted commas. The FA Cup, it is the big domestic competition in England. And for the first time in Crystal Palace history, they win the final after finishing runners-up twice in a row in previous occasions against Manchester United. The tables have turned. And I talked last episode about maybe this cup win being the start of something special for this young squad. I want to believe it is that. I want to believe that this is now kind of going to just give our players confidence. Our young team is only going to get better. Our owner starts sticking his hand in his pocket and giving me the money to go out there and really upgrade the team in meaningful ways, which we will talk about in the end of season wrap-up portion. But as far as I'm concerned, this is as good as it gets. It's great to see players like Henier, like Gorajaga, McIntosh, Omobami Dele, Ruiz, players we signed as a championship team, play in a cup final like this and win it as we have. Yes, it was made easy for us, but we still had to get to the final. We still had to put them in a position to get those 2 red cards by dominating the ball like we did. And with that, it says we qualify for the Europa League. I guess we do, right? Because the FA Cup, does the FA Cup winner guarantee their spot? Is it just league positions that come under jeopardy depending on winners? As I said earlier, I have no idea how any of this works. It gets very confusing, the qualification spots with domestic cup winners. Never mind when you then throw in the prospect of 3 English teams in the 3 different European Cup finals. Either way, we apparently qualify for the Europa League. I'm going to trust the inbox item. If I go to the Premier League, it does show that. So I'm going to take my hands off the keyboard and say, we are a European club. Mission accomplished. Mr. Chairman. I was about to say, please don't sack me. It's gone from a C+ to a B. He is hard to please, isn't he? So that does conclude season 1 as a Premier League club here at Crystal Palace. Our 3rd season, a cup final win. Of course, we've still got the end of season review section. We're going to talk about some of our transfers in and out from the last year. Players whose performances I was impressed by. Those who were maybe on the disappointing side. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. So here we are, end of season review time. The jubilation of the cup win is starting to wind down just a little bit. And instead we can take a little reflective look at how things have gone this year. And when you look at the transfers in, there's kind of one man that dominates this, isn't there? Gorajaga, £71 million, deemed signing of the season. And I think that's a pretty fair reflection. 11 goals, 14 assists. At 23 years old, he's still only going to get better. Of course, he did miss 8 weeks during this season. Not an insignificant amount of football to really miss. 2 months for the 23-year-old. But when he was fit, he played really, really well. And in some ways, the fact that he only started 26 of the 38 Premier League games shows that we weren't entirely dependent on him to get our success. We're not a team who rode on the back of one big signing. We had players who had to fill in and do the job that he did, and they did it. Elsewhere, in terms of average ratings, Nicolas Lozano came in from Real Madrid B and really, really shone. Carlier for getting a 7.26 rating, I think you have to say money well spent, really. 53 million was a gamble. Came in for the second half of the season and put in some really solid displays. Didn't necessarily get the goals or assists, but he's just a top quality player who I think is only going to get better. The kind of man who I think going into next year, we are going to experiment a little bit more with his role to kind of figure out how to get the best out of him. But he is just a top quality talent. I discussed it when we first signed him, but I do look at him and think, could you be a striker with that 11 finishing? Like, is that a deal breaker? I think back to Stephen Gold and his finishing and how irrelevant it felt. There's part of me that wants to do something with Carlier. I'd be interested to know what you would do with Carlier. I mean, when you look at him here as an advanced playmaker on support, he ticks all the boxes, but doesn't really make use of his physicals. It feels like a shame not to use these physicals. Of course, WorkTheSpace of a few years ago would have just slapped him with the box-to-box midfielder label, but the 6 tackling, there are some question marks. Let's be honest. Defensively, he's not outstanding, even if he can play right back. But at the same time, it makes use of his mentals. It makes use of his physicals. Am I losing the plot if I revert back to the WorkTheSpace of old and train him as a box-to-box midfielder? There's a few more signings that I definitely think we have to give nods to, the likes of Woodward, Fafana, Junior. Yes, these players, for the most part, didn't play every single game, but they were still big parts of our team that did see a lot of rotation due to injuries, due to AFCON. And those are the kind of players that really did step up over the course of the year. On the flip side, if I was going to look at a player and say, you were a mistake, and a mistake is maybe a cruel word to use, but Mariba just was not good enough this year. He had 17 starts in the league. He started almost half of our games, and most of those in the first half of the year. He just did not impress me one little bit. So yeah, don't be surprised to see him move on. I guess when you look at things, we kind of signed Aboubakari for a similar price. He's 5 years younger. I don't know if we necessarily need both these players in this team. And based on the performances I saw this year, even if he is injured right now, Aboubakari just feels like the better option in the centre of the midfield. Of course, in terms of sales, we really didn't sell any massive first-team presences over the summer, players who were integral to our promotion. Instead, we looked to move on some of the more fringe players. I suppose the big sale in January of Santiago was a huge one. I think when you look at the performances he had for us and how many games he played, to get 37.5 million was outrageous business. He really didn't step up and play well when he moved to Belgium. So I feel confident that that was the right move to make. Of course, other players like Manu Kone left and played a fair amount of football. Players like Ade Hernandez, Staiano, players who I think have potential, but I don't quite think they're going to be ever first-team starters for us when you consider we got in excess of £50 million for the pair, and yet they didn't average crazy ratings playing in Greece and in Austria, respectively. You kind of look at it and go, yeah, they probably were the right sales to make for the prices that we got for them. In terms of season performance, the board expectation was Europa League. I have no idea why the board expectation is now saying top half. That is not the case whatsoever. We needed to do well this year. We have done well this year. I suppose in the league, I would have maybe liked to have been a tiny bit higher, but this is a mega competitive Premier League club. And when it came to signing players last year, whilst we had a load of money, because there wasn't any European football that we were involved in, we just didn't have the reputation and lure, I suppose, to attract top quality players. Certainly by winning the Europa League, or rather qualifying for the Europa League by winning the FA Cup, we put ourselves in a much stronger position to go out and recruit players. And of course, when it came to the FA Cup run, you could argue it was easier to begin with. You know, we always got drawn against Championship clubs or Premier League clubs, but ultimately wins against Liverpool and Manchester United and wins where we kept clean sheets have to go down as pretty monumental results for us. Financially, of course, we don't have to worry about things financially. We have our rich owner. He generates new sponsorships to help balance the books and help out with financial fair play. That's why we have these notable one-year deals where these mysterious European telecommunication companies just come in and give us a load of money. 2 new deals for 55 million. I'm hoping there's the owner hopefully scales up his investment as we continue to bring success. These kind of money values are just going to go up when it comes to sponsorship and broadcast revenue. And hopefully, in turn, stuff like the match day commercial and retail income will also go up. I want to grow the team off the pitch so that one day, when the tycoon owner packs up his bags, decides to pull the plug on his investment, Crystal Palace is a club that doesn't rely on his money to be the best team in England. Good news, everyone. In the year that we've been in the Premier League, I won Championship Manager of the Year and Manager of the Month in the Championship for me. So thumbs up, pat on the back. On a more serious note, you can see here Gurajaga broke the record for the highest fee ever spent by Crystal Palace. 71 million is quite a lot of money. But on the flip side, we saw that redeemed well. In terms of awards for this year, Severin won top goal scorer. People might be wondering why I didn't play him more in the league this year. I mean, he did start 18 games in the league, so he played a significant amount of football, really. But at 20 years old, I didn't feel like he had the exact quality, I suppose, to play as many league games as other people might expect. It's also worth noting that a lot of his goals came in cup competitions. He got 9 in the Premier League, 7 in the FA Cup, 3 in the EFL Cup, and those, for the most part, were against lower league opposition. But don't get me wrong, had a great year. He's only going to get better. Gurajaga with 14 assists, you have to question, how much higher could that have been if he hadn't got injured for 2 months? And elsewhere, you can see here, Omapami Dele, most passes completed per 90 minutes. Slot him in at centre-back, play him as a ball-playing defender. Yeah, he might only have 11 passing. I'll tell you what, he's bloody good at passing it to the roaming playmaker 5 yards away from him, though. So we have got the dreaded meeting with Duan Jin for next season. What is he going to expect from us? This is always a little bit terrifying. Okay, we'll look at things here. This is all very standard. None of this stuff's changing at the top. 5-year plan. 4-year deals for new players, develop the best youth system in the world and best youth system in the country. Funnily enough, England is in the world, so both those things really are the same. I don't know why we need both of them. Spend the original transfer budget is an expectation. I don't think we've had the budget set for next season yet, which does make me not 100% sure that the Europa League spot is safe. If you play Football Manager, you'll know normally the budgets are set once everything is set in stone. I don't think we've seen the budget message for this year. And in fact, when I search budget in the email, nothing comes up. So I don't even know for certain if we're in the Europa League, but we'll work on the assumption we are for now. You'll find out next time. Board expectations for next year. Europa League, win the Europa League, Premier League, qualify for the Champions League, and of course, next year, challenge for the Premier League title, and then the year after that, my contract expires. They want us to win the Premier League in the next 4 years. That's required. That's scary. So I can try and negotiate these, but from my own experience, you can never really negotiate these. So, I mean, I can try. Win a domestic. Can we do win a domestic cup instead? Suggest. Okay, we're going to do that instead. So instead of winning the Premier League, we just have to win a domestic cup. Although it does say maintain a title challenge year on year. I don't normally negotiate these things because I feel like they just change anyway, like they did last year for us, where he wanted Champions League football, then he wanted Europa League. But maybe, just maybe, I've made my job a little bit easier there. I mean, if I did have the expectation to win the league in 4 years, in this Premier League, that would be really difficult. So in terms of expectations for next year, I'm just going to tell the players we're going to work towards Champions League football. I want us to reach the final of the Europa League. We'll discuss stuff at the start of the new season. Go and enjoy your summer holidays. Go and enjoy time with your family and all that good stuff. It's 2033, so there is no international tournament this year. So all the players can actually have a proper break. And I get to pick where we're going to go on our pre-season tour. We've got luxurious places, tropical places like the USA and Germany, South Africa. We're going to Scotland because I hate my players. Okay, Macintosh wants to discuss a new contract. Garajaga, can you tell him not to want that? I love Garajaga. I think I might have a man crush on Garajaga. Now, I mentioned not getting the board budget message. I've hit continue once. The board budget message has come in. How much money would I want to spend next year? How much do I need? I think currently our wage budget is 2.5 million and there was like 18 million left in the transfer budget. I have no idea what he's going to ask for here. 100 million would be nice to spend, wouldn't it? And like 3 million in wage budget. Let's see. Champions League football needs to be achieved with... Wow. There was a board expectation to spend the budget as well, right? £148 million to spend and a wage budget of 3.8 million. I mean, just to try and put that into a little bit of perspective, right now we're spending 2.29 million on wages. We've got £1.6 million wage excess. He's gone mad. The owner has gone mad. We've won an FA Cup and he's just put his hands in his wallet and just thrown money everywhere. I'm going to be like a kid in a candy shop, aren't I, this summer? I suppose this is a good time to mention we're going to do a transfer special tomorrow to end the week if things go to plan. So thoughts and prayers to Editing Jack. Good luck, my son. So I suppose the obvious question now becomes, now that you know your budgets, Jack, what are you going to spend your money on? This is my rough outline for now. I'd be interested to know your thoughts in the comments as to where you'd be strengthening the team. But for me, I feel like we are overdue an upgrade on Henier in the centre of the midfield. I feel like he is a player who will be perfectly serviceable as a squad player, can play in the Europa League without much jeopardy. But in terms of world-class centre mids, I feel like we could do a little bit better. I feel like with Charlie A, we've got a great attacking option who's got amazing physicals. In Ulrich, we've got a super creative player, maybe even the kind of player who I'd rather play as a Mazzala and move up to play alongside Carlier in the centre of the midfield. So I feel like we're looking for maybe a slightly more defensive but creative centre mid. Someone who is maybe a bit of a Jordan Henderson style of player. Maybe even slightly more defensive. Maybe a bit more of a Fabinho. Someone who I can really rely on as an anchor but does have the ability to just knock the ball around for fun. Obviously, with the budgets that we've got now, I feel like that makes that job of recruiting the kind of player I'm describing a little bit easier. Elsewhere, for as good as he has been, Middleby, and I love Middleby, and I think he could be a squad player for the rest of his career at our team, I do wonder if we could do a little bit better. I like the Silva on the left. I like Gorojaga on the right. I feel like Middleby is just a little step down with our front three. And there is a temptation for sure to move maybe De Silva into the middle, maybe play him as a false nine. To be honest, it's a role that he can play really, really well. Maybe we move him and play him as an advanced forward instead. But basically, looking for a third piece to the attacking trio. Of course, we've got the benefit of that all these players can be shuffled around. So really, it becomes a case of what's the best position I can find a player for. If there's an amazing right attacking mid, De Silva moves up top, Gorojaga moves onto the left. If there's an amazing left mid, well then obviously De Silva moves up top and Gurajaga stays on the right. And if there's an amazing striker, De Silva just moves on the left. I think you can see how that works out. I don't know why I've had to explain it in such detail. And I suppose besides that, there is question marks over the defence, but I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with the defence just yet. I mean, Marcus Tullio won Young Player of the Year for the Premier League. He was the Premier League's best young player. He's been phenomenal this year. He's only 21. He's continuing to improve. He's now in the Brazil national team setup. I'm a big fan. And alongside him, we've got McIntosh, who himself is only 22, who I think is just an absolutely top quality player as well. I mean, he got a 7.45 rating this year in the Premier League. 24 of those games were played as a centre-back. So in many ways, I feel like the centre-back position is fine. Of course, we know that Shackleton and Omar Richards are leaving the club at the end of the year. Our backup left-back and our backup right-back. So we're going to need to get new players in those positions anyway. I feel like with Fofana, I don't know if I love him in terms of... I don't think he's an amazing right wing back, but I don't think he's an amazing centre back either. He kind of covers both those positions well without being expert at either. So as a player on the bench, I think he could be a really, really good defender. I suppose that opens up the opportunity to maybe get in a really attacking, more creative right attacking fullback. On the flip side, Forty this year came in at left back. Some question marks over his defensive ability, but going forward, he looked great. Again, if there's a world-class left-back out there who's amazing defensively, I feel like having one really good attacking fullback for each side and one good defensive fullback for each side gives me the opportunity to kind of pick and choose which I use depending on opposition. I like 40. I do feel like wing-backs are hard to improve upon. So whilst I'd like to go out and get improvements potentially for both players, if I can't, and it just has to be good young backups who could be better than them longer term, that equally makes sense, I suppose, with the current squad structure. I mean, when you look at this team here and the options on the bench, we're going to have players like Aboubakari on the bench, Henia we've talked about, Angelo Jr. He's a quality option to have on the bench. You can play a whole load of positions. Woodward as well this year showed his worth out on the left-hand side. He can also play centre mid if needed. We've got Severin and Middleby, two young players who I want to continue to give first team football to because I think they can both continue to get better and better. So with that in mind, besides getting in the one new striker, I don't feel like we need a whole load of new options going forward. Of course, going into European football, we think we're going to need a slightly bigger squad, maybe a little bit more depth. But ultimately, we've got all this money that we've been given to spend. I feel like the correct play here is to go out and really just try and nail down 4 super players, players who are good enough to play for a Champions League club, who hopefully we can attract, who are just going to take this already really good team just up another level. And I mean, with the money that we've got, that really feels doable. But anyway, we will talk more about that in the transfer special tomorrow. The plan is to have it up tomorrow with no issues. Of course, I've not done a transfer special in a little while. They take way longer to produce and edit. So if there isn't an episode tomorrow, please don't panic. It just means there's an epic super transfer special coming your way on Monday. But hopefully, pray for Editing Jack. He can make the work stuff happen. He's usually quite good at that editing malarkey, so I do trust him. I mean, it is in his name after all. Really, really great to end Season 3 here at Crystal Palace with an FA Cup win. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as always. I hope you're excited for a transfer special whenever it may be dropping. And well, until then, take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.